In this video, I'm covering 30 meat brands that last for months without a fridge, plus 5 that spoil fast, starting with number 30, Hormel Spam. If there's one meat brand that deserves a spot at the very top of this list, it's Spam. This little blue can from Hormel Foods isn't just food, it's practically part of American history. Born in the 1932 and carried through World War II, Spam fed soldiers overseas and families back home. To this day, it's still sitting proudly on grocery store shelves across the country. Here's why it lasts. Spam is already fully cooked, then sealed, airtight inside the can. No fridge required. Thanks to salt, sugar, and a touch of sodium nitrite, it can stay safe and edible for years. Some cans even stretch well past the printed date if stored in a cool pantry. Compare that to raw pork, which barely survives a week without refrigeration, and Spam starts to look like a survival miracle. But here's the kicker. Spam isn't just a prepper food. It's downright versatile. Fry it up with eggs, cube it into mac and cheese, toss it in fried rice, or, if you're really in a pinch, eat it straight from the can. It's salty, it's filling, and it's dependable. And whether you grew up rolling your eyes at it or secretly loving it, Spam has a strange way of bringing comfort. In tough times, when fresh meat spoils in days, Spam keeps you fed for months. Number 29, Hormel Canned Ham. Right after Spam, Hormel has another heavyweight in the long-lasting meat category, Hormel Canned Ham. If you've ever seen that oval-shaped metal can with the little key attached, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This isn't your ordinary deli ham that starts sweating in the fridge within a couple of days. This ham can sit on your pantry shelf for up to 2 years unopened, and plenty of reports show it's still safe well beyond the printed best buy date if stored in a cool, dry spot. What makes it different? Hormel uses cured, fully cooked ham sealed airtight. The curing process involves both salt and sodium nitrite, which prevent bacterial growth and help the meat retain its pink color. Each 5-ounce serving runs about 100 calories, 9 grams of protein, and 730 milligrams of sodium, making it calorie-dense and protein-rich, exactly what you want when fresh food isn't an option. It also comes in multiple sizes, from the smaller 5-ounce cans to the larger 3-pound tins, giving options for single households or big families. Slice it thin for sandwiches, cube it into soups, or fry it up for a hot meal. Unlike Spam's distinct flavor, Hormel's canned ham tastes closer to the real deal you'd get at a deli. Number 28, Keystone Meats. If Spam is the old reliable, then Keystone Meats is the clean, no-nonsense upgrade. This family-run company out of Ohio has quietly built a cult following, and for good reason. They don't hide behind mystery ingredients. Every can is literally just meat and sea salt. That's it. No fillers, no preservatives, no weird chemicals you can't pronounce. Just honest-to-goodness meat that tastes the way it should. And here's the kicker. Keystone isn't just about lasting long. It's about tasting good, too. These cans will sit safe on your shelf for 5 years or more. But when you crack one open, what you get doesn't look like mystery mush. It looks like real shredded beef, chicken, pork, or turkey, the kind you can drop straight into tacos, soups, casseroles, or even eat plain with some crackers. You could fool your family into thinking you slow-cooked it yourself. Nutritionally, it's a powerhouse. Around 20 grams of protein per serving, with roughly 120 calories, which makes it leaner and more protein-heavy than most canned meats. And unlike some brands that only come in tiny tins, Keystone offers 14-ounce and 28-ounce cans, perfect for both solo storage and big family meals. If you're building a pantry that can carry you through blackouts, emergencies, or just busy weeks when you don't feel like cooking, Keystone Meats is one of the smartest shelves you can stock. Number 27, Armour Star. When it comes to canned meat that has stood the test of time, Armour Star is one of those names that shows up everywhere. Their blue and gold labels line shelves in Walmart, dollar stores, and countless regional grocers, and they've built a reputation for being both cheap and shelf-stable. Armour Star is best known for its Vienna sausages, potted meat, corned beef hash, and chili, all of which are designed with a long shelf life in mind. Most of their products last between 2 and 5 years unopened, which makes them a reliable option for pantries and emergency storage. The Vienna sausages are particularly popular because they require no preparation at all. You can crack the can and eat them straight, which is why campers, truckers, and preppers keep coming back to them. In situations where refrigeration fails, that level of convenience is hard to beat. Nutritionally, Armour Star products are calorie-dense and filling, with a small can of Vienna sausages coming in at around 200 calories, 6 grams of protein, and 18 grams of fat. The sodium content is high, but that's common across shelf-stable meats, and in survival or shortage scenarios, salt is not always a bad thing. Number 26. Libby's. Libby's is another brand that has been around for generations and is closely associated with canned meats that hold up well without refrigeration. Although many people think of Libby's for vegetables or pumpkin puree, their canned corned beef and Vienna sausages are staples in the meat aisle. These products are widely distributed across the United States, found in supermarkets, discount chains, and dollar stores, which makes them easy to stock whether you are building an emergency pantry or just looking for reliable protein. The corned beef, in particular, is one of their most recognized items. It comes in the familiar trapezoid-shaped can with a key to open it, and it has a shelf life of roughly 2 to 5 years. Inside, the beef is fully cooked, densely packed, and preserved with salt and curing agents, giving it both longevity and a distinct flavor that pairs well with rice, potatoes, or even eaten cold straight from the can. The Vienna sausages, much like Armour Star's version, are soft, salty, and ready to eat without any preparation. Nutritionally, Libby's meats are high in calories and protein, with corned beef offering around 230 calories and 12 grams of protein per 3.5-ounce serving. The sodium and fat content are high, but that is part of what allows the product to remain shelf-stable. Number 25. Great value. When it comes to stocking up on meat that will last without a fridge, sometimes it is not about nostalgia or tradition, it is about what you can actually get your hands on. Walmart's Great Value line fills that role better than almost any other brand. It may not have the decades of lore behind it like Spam or Libby's, but it has something even more practical: nationwide availability and low price. Great Value canned chicken breast is the best example. It is sold in single cans or bundled in 4-packs, and shoppers often grab them in bulk because they are cheap and dependable. Each can is fully cooked, lightly seasoned, and packed in water, which means you can drain it and use it right away in salads, soups, or sandwiches. The shelf life stretches to around 2 to 5 years, and people who prepare for outages often line their shelves with entire cases. Walmart also offers canned roast beef and turkey under the same label. While they may not carry the prestige of specialized brands, they serve a purpose. The protein is lean, the flavor is neutral enough to adapt to many recipes, and the cost per ounce is lower than most competitors. For families who need something they can trust to be there week after week, Great Value has quietly become one of the most important names in shelf-stable meat. Number 24. Kroger brand meats. For millions of Americans who shop at Kroger and its family of stores, the in-house brand is often the first choice when it comes to canned goods, including meat. Kroger's private label lineup features canned chicken, roast beef, corned beef hash, and even turkey, all designed to sit on the shelf for years without refrigeration. These aren't flashy products, and most people do not buy them for taste testing, but rather because they are dependable and cost less than the national labels sitting right beside them. One of the reasons Kroger's canned meats matter is reach. The Kroger name is tied into a massive network of regional grocery chains. Names like Ralph's, Fry's, and King Soopers all carry the same private label products. That means in much of the country, even outside of Kroger's core Midwest territory, these cans are easy to find and easy to stock. The chicken breast is usually the best seller, lightly seasoned, fully cooked, and packed in water, while the roast beef and turkey give variety for soups, casseroles, and sandwiches. The shelf life averages 2 to 5 years, and many shoppers buy them by the case when sales hit, knowing they will stay good long after fresh meat has spoiled. For households that already shop at Kroger weekly, the brand's canned meats have become an inexpensive way to extend food security without having to chase down specialty products. Number 23. Swanson canned chicken breast. Swanson is a name many people associate with broths and soups, but their canned chicken breast has quietly become one of the most dependable, shelf-stable meats in American pantries. Unlike some brands that lean heavily on sodium or fillers, Swanson's canned chicken is known for its mild flavor and shredded texture that works in dozens of everyday meals. It is fully cooked, packed in water, and ready to use straight from the can, which makes it just as practical for a quick weeknight dinner as it is for long-term food storage. The shelf life averages 2 to 5 years, giving it the staying power you expect from a canned product. Each serving comes in around 60 calories with 13 grams of protein, making it a lean source of nutrition that can stretch a meal without adding unnecessary fat. That balance is why many households buy Swanson not only for emergencies but for convenience. Chicken salad, enchiladas, casseroles, and soups can all be pulled together in minutes with a can or two. Because Swanson is owned by Campbell's, it has national distribution and can be found in almost every major grocery chain. It isn't as flashy or as iconic as Spam, but for shoppers who want something clean, familiar, and versatile, Swanson canned chicken breast has earned a permanent place in kitchens across the country. Number 22. Valley Fresh Canned Chicken Chunks. Valley Fresh is one of those brands that markets itself directly to people who want canned meat without the stigma of being junk food. Their canned chicken chunks stand out on the shelf because the label pushes a cleaner image, often highlighting phrases like 100% natural and no preservatives. For shoppers who might turn their nose up at other canned meats, Valley Fresh offers a way to stock the pantry with protein that feels closer to home cooking. The chicken itself is fully cooked, packed in water or broth, and comes in small 5-ounce cans as well as larger 12-ounce options. The shelf life runs in the usual range of 2 to 5 years, and once opened, it looks and tastes like shredded chicken breast rather than processed meat. A single serving averages around 70 calories and 12 grams of protein, which makes it lean and useful in almost any recipe. Many buyers use it for chicken salad, pasta dishes, or quick soups, and the neutral flavor makes it easy to season however you want. Valley Fresh may not have the same national name recognition as Swanson or the nostalgic reputation of Spam, but it has carved out its niche as a slightly more upscale canned chicken choice. Number 21. Hormel's Dinty Moore. Open a can of Dinty Moore and you can almost picture the era it came from. It first hit shelves in the 1,930 seconds when families needed food that was cheap, hearty, and dependable. Even now, the red and white label hasn't changed much, and the stew inside is exactly what it promises. Chunks of beef, soft potatoes, carrots, and a thick gravy that feels more like comfort food than survival rations. People don't buy Dinty Moore expecting gourmet. They buy it because one can feeds you when the fridge is empty or the power's out. It is shelf-stable for years, usually 2 to 5, and when opened it smells and tastes like a hot meal you didn't have to slave over. The beef is tender, the potatoes soak up the gravy, and when you scoop it over rice or bread, it stretches even further. Nutritionally, it is no lightweight, offering around 200 calories per serving with enough protein and carbs to keep you full. But the real selling point is how satisfying it feels when you're hungry and don't have many options. Dinty Moore has stuck around for nearly a century because it does what few canned foods can. It fills you up and makes you feel like you've had dinner, not just a snack. Number 20. Campbell's Chunky Soups. Campbell's may be best known for its red and white condensed soups, but their chunky line has become a pantry classic in its own right. Marketed for decades as the soup that eats like a meal, these cans are built around thick cuts of meat, potatoes, pasta, and vegetables in a hearty broth. Varieties like beef with country vegetables, chicken and sausage gumbo, and steak and potato have made the brand a go-to for people who want something filling that doesn't require refrigeration. The appeal is straightforward. You open a can, heat it up, and you've got dinner in minutes. And unlike fresh soup, which spoils within a few days, Campbell's Chunky carries a shelf life of 2 to 5 years unopened. Because they are fully cooked and sealed under pressure, they can be eaten straight from the can in an emergency, though most people prefer them hot. Nutritionally, they're designed to stick with you. A single can often has 350 to 400 calories and 15 to 20 grams of protein, depending on the flavor. They're salty, but that salt is part of what keeps them shelf-stable. The cans are also larger than standard condensed soups, usually 18.8 ounces, which makes them closer to a full meal. For shoppers who want meat in a convenient, ready-to-eat package that will sit in the cupboard for years, Campbell's Chunky Soups remain one of the most dependable options in the grocery store. Number 19. General Mills Progresso Soups. If Campbell's Chunky is the working man's dinner, Progresso is the brand that tries to dress things up a little. Owned by General Mills, it built its reputation by marketing canned soup as something closer to homemade, with a cleaner image and a more upscale feel. Instead of leaning into toughness, Progresso leans into words like no artificial flavors and low sodium, which helped it stand out to shoppers who wanted convenience but didn't want to feel like they were eating pure salt out of a can. The lineup covers nearly every category, but the real backbone is the meat soups, chicken noodle, beef pot roast, chicken and wild rice, even Italian-style wedding soup. These cans are bigger than Campbell's condensed line, usually around 19 ounces, and they don't require any extra water or milk. Pop the lid, heat it up, and you've got a meal. Stored properly, they last 2 to 5 years, which makes them just as reliable in the pantry as any of the competition. The taste is where Progresso earns loyalty. The meat and vegetables look more like what you'd expect from a pot simmering at home, and the seasoning is milder, which makes it easier to adapt. Some people buy it for emergencies, but plenty of households grab it just to make dinner easier on a busy night. Number 18, Bridgford shelf-stable sandwiches. Most people expect long-lasting meat to come in a can or a jar, but Bridgford throws that idea out the window. These are sandwiches, fully cooked, sealed in pouches, and built to last for years. They started as part of U.S. military MREs, designed for soldiers who needed something hot, filling, and portable in the field. Somewhere along the way, they crossed over into civilian life, and now you can find them in camping stores, prepper catalogs, and even on Walmart shelves. The magic is in the packaging. Instead of tin and brine, Bridgford uses a high-tech retort pouch that locks in flavor and keeps out bacteria. Shelf life is impressive, stretching 3 to 5 years without refrigeration. Tear one open and you'll find something closer to a Hot Pocket than canned stew, with flavors like BBQ beef, pepperoni, Italian sausage, and chicken. Heat it if you can, eat it cold if you have to. Either way, it works. Each sandwich packs around 300 calories with 10 to 15 grams of protein, plus enough carbs and fat to keep you fueled on the move. They're not gourmet, but that's not the point. They're rugged, reliable, and surprisingly tasty for food that can survive in a backpack. Bridgford sandwiches might not have the nostalgia of Spam or the polish of Progresso, but they bring something different. A shelf-stable meal that feels modern, tough, and built for the unexpected. Number 17. Jack Link's. When it comes to jerky, no brand has more recognition in America than Jack Link's. The red and black bags have become a staple at gas stations, grocery stores, and even checkout counters, and the company has leaned hard into its image of rugged, high-protein snacking. The big appeal of jerky, and especially Jack Link's, is that it lasts. Properly sealed, an unopened bag will keep for 12 to 18 months, making it one of the longest-lasting meat products outside of cans. Jack Link's built its name on beef jerky, but the brand has expanded into turkey jerky, pork, and meat sticks as well. Most of their products are vacuum-sealed, seasoned heavily, and dehydrated, which removes the moisture that bacteria need to grow. That process is what gives jerky its chewy texture, and also its long shelf life. Once opened, a bag only lasts a few days unless you refrigerate it, but as long as it stays sealed, it's reliable for long-term storage. Nutritionally, Jack Link's jerky delivers around 10 grams of protein per ounce, with 80 to 100 calories depending on the flavor. The sodium content is high, but for people on the move, camping, or preparing for emergencies, that's part of the appeal. Jerky is light, portable, and doesn't require any preparation. Number 16. Conagra's Slim Jim. Nobody ever accused a Slim Jim of being subtle. From the neon red wrappers to the old commercials with wrestlers yelling, "Snap into a Slim Jim." This brand has always leaned into being wild, greasy, and unapologetically junky. And that's exactly why people love it. Unlike traditional jerky, Slim Jims aren't tough strips of beef. They're oily sticks of seasoned meat that snap when you bite into them. They're not pretending to be gourmet, they're not pretending to be healthy, they're just a salty, smoky hit of protein you can eat anywhere. Tucked into glove compartments, stashed in desk drawers, or sitting on gas station counters, Slim Jims are about as American a snack as it gets. The magic is in the curing. The meat is dried, spiced, and sealed in plastic so it can sit around for a year or more without refrigeration. They're loaded with sodium, fat, and preservatives, which is why they taste the way they do, and why they last as long as they do. For some, Slim Jims are pure nostalgia, road trips, vending machines, late nights. For others, they're a guilty pleasure. Either way, when it comes to shelf-stable meat, nothing captures the grab-and-go over the top side of American snacking quite like Slim Jim. Number 15. Old Trapper. While Slim Jim has always been about wild advertising and quick gas station bites, Old Trapper has built its reputation on something else entirely: size, flavor, and a kind of rustic honesty. Their jerky comes in giant clear bags so you can actually see the product, which is a bold choice in a world where most brands hide the contents behind flashy packaging. That simple see-through look has become part of the appeal. What you see is what you get. Old Trapper Jerky leans heavily into the smoky, peppered style. The strips are larger, chewier, and less oily than meat sticks, which makes them closer to traditional beef jerky than many of the modern candy-like versions. Unopened, the bags last 12 to 18 months without refrigeration, and once opened, they keep for about a week if resealed properly. Nutritionally, a 1-ounce serving averages 11 grams of protein and about 80 calories, with sodium levels that are high, but standard for jerky. What makes Old Trapper stand out is the portion size. Most bags run 10 ounces or more, compared to the smaller snack packs you see from other brands. That means they're not just a casual grab-and-go snack, they're something you can keep in the pantry, ration out, and actually treat as part of a food supply. Number 14. Sweet Sue. For many shoppers, the name Sweet Sue rings a bell because of one famous product: canned whole chicken. It sounds almost unbelievable, an entire chicken cooked and packed into a can, but it has been a curiosity and a survival food for decades. Beyond the novelty, Sweet Sue also produces staples like chicken and dumplings, which are still found on shelves across the U.S. The canned whole chicken is what really sets the brand apart. Sold in larger 50-ounce cans, it contains a fully cooked bird preserved in broth, and while it may not win culinary awards for presentation, it does deliver on practicality. Stored properly, it carries a 2 to 5 year shelf life, and when opened, the chicken can be pulled apart and used in soups, casseroles, or sandwiches. It is high in protein, calorie-dense, and provides a lot of servings for the price. The chicken and dumplings are equally well known, offering comfort food that requires no prep beyond heating. Like other canned meats, the sodium is heavy, but that is part of why it keeps. Sweet Sue products are not flashy, but they have a reputation for being filling, reliable, and surprisingly versatile when fresh food isn't available. For households that want something beyond small cans of shredded chicken, Sweet Sue offers a reminder that canned meats can stretch further, feed more people, and keep for years without a refrigerator. Number 13. Country Archer Provisions. Not all jerky brands lean on grease and salt as their selling points. Country Archer Provisions has carved out a reputation as the health-minded alternative in the meat snack aisle. Where Slim Jim goes loud and Old Trapper goes big, Country Archer goes clean. Their bags usually boast grass-fed beef, organic ingredients, and no artificial preservatives, targeting shoppers who want shelf-stable protein without feeling like they're eating pure sodium. The jerky itself has a softer chew than some of the tougher, leathery styles. Flavors range from classic teriyaki and original beef to more adventurous options like mango habanero and sweet jalapeno. The shelf life still runs about 12 months unopened, sometimes longer, since dehydration and vacuum sealing remain the backbone of jerky preservation. Once opened, like most jerkies, it only keeps for a few days unless refrigerated. A single ounce averages 70 to 80 calories and about 9 to 10 grams of protein, making it leaner than some of the more traditional brands. The sodium is still present, it has to be for safety, but it is noticeably lighter compared to some competitors. Country Archer isn't as widely distributed as Jack Link's or Slim Jim, but it is found in major grocery chains, Whole Foods, and health-oriented retailers. Number 12. Dak Canned Ham. If you've ever walked down the canned meat aisle and spotted an odd-shaped blue can with a little metal key attached, chances are you were looking at Dak Canned Ham. Imported from Denmark for years and distributed widely in the U.S., Dak has long been one of the most recognizable shelf-stable ham products around. Unlike refrigerated deli ham, which spoils in days, Dak's curing and canning process stretches the shelf life to 2 to 5 years unopened. The ham comes fully cooked, firm, and tightly packed, with a slightly smoky, salty flavor that works well sliced for sandwiches or cubed into casseroles and pasta dishes. Once opened, it behaves like regular ham, needing refrigeration and quick use, but until that moment, it sits quietly on the pantry shelf, waiting. Nutritionally, Dak canned ham runs about 140 calories and 9 grams of protein per 3-ounce serving, with a high sodium content that helps preserve it. The can itself is substantial, usually 16 ounces or larger, which makes it better suited for families or for stretching across several meals. Dak may not be as famous as Spam, but it has built a loyal following among bargain hunters, preppers, and anyone who wants a long-lasting ham with a traditional flavor. It's not fancy, but it delivers exactly what it promises. Reliable, shelf-stable meat that keeps for years without a fridge. Number 11. Goya. When most people think of Goya, they think of beans, rice, or spices, but tucked into their massive product lineup are some of the most widely used canned meats in Hispanic kitchens. Goya's Vienna sausages, corned beef, and chorizo-style products are staples that show up in both everyday cooking and long-term pantry storage. For many families, especially in Latin American communities, these cans are as familiar as Spam is to the broader U.S. market. The Vienna sausages are similar in style to Armour or Libby's, ready to eat straight out of the can and shelf-stable for 2 to 5 years. The corned beef, packed in a trapezoid-shaped tin, is another standout, commonly sautéed with onions and peppers or mixed with rice and plantains. Each can provides a calorie-dense, protein-rich option that's inexpensive and versatile. What sets Goya apart is its reach. The brand is distributed in nearly every major grocery chain in America, but also in countless smaller markets that specifically serve Hispanic communities. That makes Goya's canned meats not only easy to find, but also deeply woven into cultural cooking traditions. Nutritionally, the products follow the same formula as most shelf-stable meats: high in sodium, moderate in protein, and packed with enough fat and calories to keep you full. What makes them special is how seamlessly they fit into everyday recipes, proving that long-lasting meat doesn't have to feel like emergency rations. Number 10. Tillamook Country Smoker. Out in the Pacific Northwest, Tillamook Country Smoker has built a reputation on big, smoky jerky that feels closer to something you'd pick up at a roadside smokehouse than a corporate snack brand. The company started small in Oregon back in the 1972 and still leans on that image of handcrafted quality, even though today its bags are sold nationwide. Unlike Slim Jim or Jack Link's, Tillamook jerky is cut into larger strips and has a tougher chew, more in line with old-fashioned styles. Flavors like pepper, teriyaki, and honey glazed are staples, but the brand is best known for its bold smoke flavor that sets it apart from the competition. Shelf life runs the usual 12 to 18 months unopened, which makes it a strong option for both road trips and long-term pantry storage. Nutritionally, a 1-ounce serving packs about 10 grams of protein and 80 calories, with sodium levels that are standard for jerky. What makes Tillamook stand out isn't the numbers, though, it's the portion sizes. The company is famous for selling oversized 10-ounce or even 1-pound bags, which makes it one of the best value buys in the jerky aisle. Tillamook Country Smoker doesn't rely on flashy mascots or gimmicky ads. Instead, it wins over customers by delivering hearty, smoky jerky in big bags that last, both in storage and in flavor. Number 9. Celebrity. Celebrity corned beef isn't the flashy kind of brand that spends big money on ads or screams at you from the shelf. It's the quiet budget option you stumble across in smaller supermarkets, discount chains, or tucked away in dollar stores. For a lot of families, especially in immigrant households, it's been around so long it feels like part of the background. Not glamorous, just reliable. The can is that classic trapezoid shape with the little metal key, the same style you'll see with Libby's or Goya. Inside is what you expect: dense, salty, cooked beef that's ready to be fried up with onions, mixed into rice, or eaten cold in a pinch. It's not marketed as a gourmet product, but when you need protein that lasts, it does its job. People don't brag about buying Celebrity, but they keep coming back to it because it's affordable and it lasts years in the pantry without a second thought. That's the charm of it. In emergencies, when the fridge is down or the grocery runs thin, the name on the can doesn't matter. What matters is that it's there, it's filling, and it stretches meals when you need it most. Number 8. Oberto. Before jerky was sold in flashy bags at every gas station, Oberto was already doing it the old-fashioned way. Founded in Seattle back in 1918 by an Italian immigrant family, Oberto built its reputation on simple, smoked meats made for working people who needed something portable and filling. That history still hangs over the brand today, even though it's now distributed nationally and looks like any other snack brand on the shelf. Oberto jerky has a firmer, chewier bite compared to some of the softer, more modern brands. The flavors stick to the classics: original, peppered, teriyaki, with a smoky depth that feels closer to traditional butcher shop jerky than candy-coated snack sticks. Unopened bags hold up for 12 to 18 months, just like most jerky, But what sets Oberto apart is the sense that you're eating something tied to a real tradition rather than a marketing gimmick. People who grew up in the Pacific Northwest often talk about Oberto as their jerky brand, the one they saw long before Jack Link's dominated gas station shelves. It's leaner than some of the bigger snack brands, with around 70 to 80 calories and 11 grams of protein per ounce, but the real hook is its heritage. For over 100 years, Oberto has managed to keep its name alive by sticking to the basics: beef, smoke, and salt. Number 7. Hormel's Merry Kitchen. Few canned foods have the cult following that Merry Kitchen corned beef hash does. It's been on shelves for decades, instantly recognizable in its red and white can, and it's one of those products that sparks either nostalgia or curiosity. Open it up and you'll find a dense mixture of corned beef and diced potatoes, all seasoned and ready to crisp in a skillet. This isn't just survival food, it's diner food in a can. Fry it up until it's golden on the edges, top it with a fried egg, and suddenly you've got a breakfast that tastes like something off a greasy spoon menu, no fridge required. That's the magic of Merry Kitchen. It takes something humble, packs it into a can, and turns it into comfort food whenever you need it. Like other Hormel canned meats, the shelf life stretches 2 to 5 years unopened, making it a solid pantry backup. A 1-cup serving runs roughly 350 calories and 17 grams of protein, plus plenty of carbs from the potatoes. It's heavy, filling, and sticks with you, exactly what you want from a meat that doubles as a full meal. For preppers, road trippers, or anyone who just loves the taste of old-fashioned corned beef hash, Merry Kitchen has carved out a spot as one of the most reliable and comforting canned meats in America. Number 6. Perky Jerky. Most jerky brands sell themselves as rugged and tough. Perky Jerky went the opposite route. It launched in the late 2000s as a kind of boutique jerky, marketed in sleek black bags with bold lettering and wild flavors like truffle, sweet and spicy, and even turkey cranberry around the holidays. Instead of aiming at hunters and truck stops, Perky Jerky went after fitness buffs and snackers who wanted something high in protein but a little trendier than the usual dried beef. Shelf life is still solid, about 12 months unopened, since it's dehydrated and sealed like any other jerky. But what Perky Jerky emphasizes is texture. It's softer, more tender, almost like marinated steak strips compared to the leathery chew of old school jerky. That difference gave it a reputation as the jerky for people who don't like jerky. Nutrition runs lighter with roughly 80 calories and 10 grams of protein per ounce, and lower sodium than many big-name competitors. It's also known for skipping artificial preservatives and leaning on simple seasoning blends. Perky Jerky never reached the mass dominance of Jack Link's or Slim Jim, but it carved out a lane for itself. For shoppers who want shelf-stable meat that feels modern, adventurous, and a little more premium, this brand turned jerky into something closer to a lifestyle snack than a truck stop chew. Number 5. Nalley Chili. Nalley Chili has been a pantry favorite in the Pacific Northwest for generations, but it also earns a spot on this list for one simple reason: it lasts. Like other canned meat products, Nalley Chili is fully cooked and sealed under high heat, which means bacteria can't get in as long as the can stays intact. According to USDA guidelines, most canned meats remain safe for 2 to 5 years unopened, and Nalley's labeling reflects the same range. That's years of shelf life without refrigeration. Nutritionally, a 1-cup serving comes in at about 240 calories and 12 grams of protein, with beans adding extra fiber and carbohydrates that make it especially filling. The sodium runs high, but that's part of why it can last so long. When you compare that to fresh chili, which spoils within 3 to 4 days even in the fridge, the shelf stability is a massive advantage. People in the Northwest have long used Nalley Chili not just as a meal in itself, but as a versatile ingredient. Poured over fries, mixed into casseroles, or eaten straight from the can in a pinch, it offers comfort food that doesn't quit. For anyone building a pantry with food that stays good far beyond the weekly grocery cycle, Nalley Chili is a proven choice. Number 4. Epic Provisions. Not all long-lasting meats come in cans or jerky strips. Epic Provisions carved out a space in the snack aisle with their meat bars, portable, protein-heavy, and designed for people who wanted something more natural than a Slim Jim. Founded in Austin, Texas, Epic marketed itself to the paleo and CrossFit crowd with bold flavors like bison and cranberry, chicken sriracha, and venison with sea salt and pepper. These bars are dehydrated and vacuum sealed, which gives them a shelf life of around 12 months unopened, similar to jerky. They're not meant to be stored for decades like Spam, but they are built for a year of safe storage without refrigeration. That's long enough to work in an emergency pantry or to take on extended trips outdoors. Nutritionally, Epic bars are dense and efficient. A typical bar has about 130 to 150 calories with 10 to 12 grams of protein, and many flavors have less sodium than traditional jerkies. They also avoid artificial preservatives, instead relying on drying, seasoning, and packaging to keep the meat safe. Epic Provision stands out because it reframed what shelf-stable meat could be. Instead of canned hash or greasy sticks, they offered sleek, individually wrapped bars made from grass-fed and sometimes exotic meats. For people who want protein that lasts but feels modern and health-conscious, Epic made meat that keeps look a lot different. Number 3. Wild Zora. Wild Zora isn't your typical jerky company. Founded in Colorado, the brand set out to make meat snacks that doubled as survival food and health food at the same time. Instead of just dried beef or turkey, their bars combine grass-fed meats with vegetables, herbs, and spices. The idea was to create something closer to a whole meal than a salty strip of jerky. Each bar is dehydrated and vacuum sealed, which gives it a shelf life of about 12 months unopened. Like other dried meat products, it doesn't need refrigeration until it's opened, making it a good option for long trips, emergency kits, or anyone who wants shelf-stable protein without a can opener. The nutrition profile is part of what sets Wild Zora apart. A typical bar runs 100 to 120 calories with 7 to 9 grams of protein, plus some carbs and fiber from the vegetables blended inside. Sodium levels are lighter than traditional jerky, which appeals to health-minded buyers. Where most meat brands lean on nostalgia or snack culture, Wild Zora took the clean eating trend and made it shelf-stable. It's the kind of product you find in health food stores, camping shops, and increasingly in mainstream grocery chains. For people who want meat that lasts but doesn't feel processed, Wild Zora offers a modern twist on the survival staple. Number 2. Tanka Bar. Long before protein bars filled the shelves, native peoples on the Great Plains were already making something similar: dried buffalo mixed with berries and fat, a food called wasna or pemmican that could last for months and sustain warriors on long journeys. Tanka Bar took that tradition and reintroduced it to the modern market. Made by the Oglala Lakota on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, Tanka Bars use buffalo meat blended with cranberries to create a chewy, slightly sweet, protein-packed snack. They're shelf-stable for about 12 months unopened, thanks to the drying process and vacuum-sealed packaging. That makes them more like jerky in terms of storage life, but with a flavor and nutritional profile that's unique. Each bar has around 70 to 80 calories and 7 grams of protein, with a balance of natural sugars from the fruit and lean protein from grass-fed buffalo. Unlike most jerky brands that load up on sodium, Tanka keeps the seasoning minimal, leaning into its traditional roots. Beyond the numbers, what sets Tanka apart is the cultural story. It isn't just a snack. It's a continuation of a food system that kept native communities alive for centuries. By putting that into a modern wrapper, Tanka Bar bridges history and survival, proving that shelf-stable meat doesn't have to come from a factory line. Number 1. Stagg Chili. If Nalley chili is about Northwest comfort, Stagg Chili leans hard into bold Southwestern flavors. Owned by Hormel, the brand has been around since the 1950s and built its reputation on thick, meaty chili loaded with spices. It's one of those cans you reach for when you want something hearty and flavorful but don't feel like cooking a pot from scratch. Stagg comes in multiple varieties: classic chili con carne, steakhouse reserve, dynamite hot, even vegetarian versions. But the core appeal is always the same: chunky beef and beans in a rich sauce that keeps for years. Unopened, the cans last 2 to 5 years on the shelf, thanks to the same pressure sealing process used across the canned meat industry. Once opened, it behaves like fresh food and needs refrigeration, but until then, it's safe long after most pantry items expire. Nutritionally, a 1-cup serving averages 250 calories with 13 grams of protein plus beans that add fiber and carbs. It's salty, like all shelf-stable meats, but it's also filling, the kind of food you can eat straight out of the can in an emergency or serve over rice, bread, or potatoes for a bigger meal. Stagg doesn't carry the same nostalgia as Dinty Moore or Nalley, but it delivers on flavor and staying power. For people who want canned meat that lasts but also comes with some spice and kick, Stagg Chili earns its place on the list. Now, let me assure you, not all meat brands have this longevity in use, as here's 5 that actually spoil faster than you'd imagine starting with. Number 5. Boar's Head. Boar's Head is the gold standard of deli counters across America. Walk into any grocery store with a full-service deli, and you'll see people lining up for their turkey breast, honey ham, and roast beef. It's premium, it's pricey, and it has a reputation for being cleaner and fresher than the bargain brands. But here's the catch. That freshness is exactly why it spoils so fast. Unlike canned meats or shelf-stable products, Boar's Head prides itself on avoiding artificial preservatives. Many of their cold cuts are marketed as no nitrates added or all natural. That sounds great for taste and health-conscious shoppers, but it also means the clock is ticking the second the electricity goes out. Without refrigeration, sliced Boar's Head meats can go bad in under 24 hours. In some cases, turkey and chicken slices will start to smell off in just half a day. Nutrition-wise, Boar's Head is lean, high protein, and tasty, but in a blackout scenario, that won't save you. A pound of oven-roasted turkey breast is useless once it turns slimy. Unlike Spam or canned ham, there's no safety net here. It's easy to think premium equals safer, but in reality, Boar's Head is one of the quickest losses when the fridge shuts down. That's why it earns a place on the list of meats you cannot count on in an emergency. Number 4. Applegate Naturals. Walk into a health-focused grocery store and you'll see Applegate Naturals lined up with all the right buzzwords on the label. Organic, natural, no antibiotics, no nitrates. Everything about the branding tells you this is a safer, cleaner alternative to mainstream lunch meat. And that's exactly what makes it risky when the power goes out. Most people assume hot dogs and sausages will hold up longer than deli cuts, but with Applegate, the opposite is true. Because the company avoids synthetic preservatives, their meats rely completely on refrigeration. The moment your fridge warms up, that turkey breast or chicken sausage is on a countdown. 12 hours in summer heat, and it already starts to smell off. By the 24-hour mark, it's unsafe to eat. Under normal conditions, Applegate products are praised for being lean and high quality. But compared to cured or canned meats, they're fragile. What looks like a wholesome choice on the shelf is actually one of the first things to spoil during the blackout. That disconnect is what catches people off guard. The packaging makes it feel sturdy, but it's one of the least dependable meats you could have in an outage. Number 3. Beyond Meat. There's a common assumption that plant-based meats are safer in a power outage than animal products. Beyond Meat proves that idea wrong. Even though the patties and sausages are made from pea protein, oils, and flavorings instead of beef or pork, they spoil at almost the same rate as raw ground meat once they're out of the fridge. Part of the reason is fat. Beyond Meat relies on plant oils to mimic the texture of beef, and those oils go rancid fast at room temperature. The proteins themselves are just as vulnerable to bacterial growth as animal protein. In other words, without refrigeration, Beyond burgers and sausages become unsafe in less than a day, sometimes turning slimy in under 12 hours. On the surface, the packaging looks modern and sturdy, which can fool people into thinking it has more staying power. But Beyond is sold in the refrigerated section for a reason. Unlike canned beans, dried legumes, or jerky, all plant-based proteins that keep for months, Beyond is fragile. For shoppers stocking up with the idea that vegan equals longer lasting, this is a dangerous blind spot. Beyond Meat tastes convincing, but in a blackout, it doesn't buy you any extra time. Once the fridge is gone, so is the product. Number 2. Trader Joe's sausages. Trader Joe's is famous for turning everyday groceries into something that feels special. Their chicken sausages, sweet Italian links, and spicy chorizo are fan favorites, often vacuum sealed in neat plastic packs that look sturdy enough to survive a power outage. But that's the trap. The packaging creates a false sense of security. Without refrigeration, these sausages spoil faster than most people realize. The reason is simple. They're sold as fresh, not cured. Unlike traditional smoked sausages or shelf-stable pepperoni, Trader Joe's versions skip heavy preservatives and rely on refrigeration to stay safe. Once that cold chain breaks, the countdown begins. In warm conditions, they can turn sour and unsafe in less than 24 hours, sometimes faster. The vacuum seal keeps them neat on the shelf, but it doesn't stop bacterial growth once the temperature rises. These sausages are delicious under normal circumstances. Lean protein, plenty of flavor, and easy to cook. But in an outage, they're one of the first things you'll lose. A pack that looked like a smart buy at the store can quickly become wasted money and wasted food when the fridge goes down. Trader Joe's built its brand on making gourmet accessible. The trade-off is fragility. These sausages are great when the power's on, but in a blackout, they're gone almost as quickly as they were bought. Number 1. Hillshire Farm Resealable Packs. Hillshire Farm has been a staple in the lunch meat aisle for decades, and their Deli Select resealable packs are some of the most popular choices for turkey, ham, and roast beef. The plastic tubs with the tight-fitting lids look neat, modern, and practical. They give shoppers the impression that the meat inside will stay fresh longer than the old zip-top bags or butcher paper. But when the power goes out, that design doesn't buy you any extra time at all. These meats are fully cooked and sliced, but they aren't cured or preserved like Spam or canned ham. The resealable lid keeps them organized in the fridge, but it doesn't stop bacteria once the temperature rises. In fact, the extra surface area of pre-sliced meat means they spoil faster than whole cuts. Without refrigeration, Hillshire Farm Deli Select can go bad in less than a day, sometimes within 12 hours in warm kitchens. Under normal conditions, they're convenient and tasty, making sandwiches quick and easy. But in an outage, they're one of the first casualties. The packaging reassures you, but the science doesn't change. Sliced, fresh-style deli meats are fragile. Hillshire Farm's resealable packs prove that convenience in the fridge often translates into vulnerability when the fridge is gone.